Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to say we need an R-rated Power Rangers. Why? Well, this topic has come around because The Hollywood Reporter on the 20th of October released an exclusive that the Power Rangers will be getting a film and TV treatment from I'm Not Okay With This co-creator, as well as the end of the effing world, Jonathan Entwistle. Now, he has been given the reins on the franchise of Power Rangers. It is something Hasbro is really looking to do. They're looking to push it. They're looking to make it into something. Now, in terms of the Power Rangers, I feel, along with a lot of other properties actually, He-Man included, it needs to have grown with its audience. It needs to have matured with its audience. And I think Power Rangers, more so than He-Man, there's a lot of evidence for this, which I'm going to get to towards the end of this video. So if you want, some sort of mathematical equations on why the Power Rangers needs to be R-rated, we'll get there. Because I do actually have some good evidence to back that up, because there have been R-rated versions of Power Rangers, and they've done better than the box office, the worldwide box office of the recent Power Rangers movie. So let's dive into it, shall we? Right. Jonathan Entwistle will shepherd the next series of screen adaptations as Hasbro's E1 arm takes the reins of the superhero franchise. Now, it's interesting that The Hollywood Reporter are naming these as superheroes. Now, they might very well be, but in terms of sort of pop culture and the sort of zeitgeist around superheroes and things like that, I wouldn't have looked at Power Rangers and gone, yeah, they're absolutely superheroes. I appreciate they are superhero-esque, but I don't think I would have ever mistaken them for actual superheroes. They fight putty monsters and they do a lot of kung fu, a lot of martial arts. And yeah, it's great. But again, it's one of those things that, especially when you compare that 2017 film, which only made 142 million worldwide, and it would have cost a lot of money, they need to mature it with the audience. It's one of those properties that, unfortunately, just doesn't appeal to, the new generations. It doesn't, sadly. And I was a big fan of Power Rangers, hugely, in fact. There's a lot of, there's kaijus in there. There's everything. Kaijus, mechs. I mean, it is JDM, isn't it, through and through. Now, anyway, the Hollywood Reporter article continues and says that the Power Rangers are morphing again. Jonathan Entwistle, the creator behind Netflix series It's the End of the Effing World, has been entrusted to engineer and shepherd the next series of screen adaptations of Power Rangers, the colourful Hasbro superhero property. But while other recent efforts have focused primarily on the big screen, the new initiative will see Entwistle overseeing and directing both film and television adaptations. So basically, Jonathan Entwistle is the Kevin Feige of Hasbro's Power Ranger universe. That is essentially his role here. You make no mistake, that is basically what they are having him do. Now, the article continues, the move comes as E1, the production banner acquired by Hasbro in late 2019, becomes more active in the development and the production of adaptations of Hasbro-based brands. A Power Rangers feature was previously in development by Entwistle at Paramount, but now the reins have been taken by E1, while Entwistle's involvement will deepen. So that's very interesting. That particular piece of information clearly shows that Hasbro on a whole were very happy with Entwistle's direction that he wanted to take the Power Rangers feature in. And then the fact that they just moved it over to E1 and was going to be doing it in-house. Yeah, it sounds like they were very happy with it. Now, obviously, it remains to be seen exactly what direction they're going to go in. I still think R-rated is the best possible course of action. Now, Entwistle will act as a conductor of a connected story universe that will bridge multiple platforms. So again, he is the Kevin Feige. Jonathan has an incredible creative vision for this iconic and hugely successful franchise and is hands down the right architect to join us as we reimagine the television and film worlds of this property, said E1's film president Nick Meyer and global television president Michael Lombardo in a joint statement. Across our slate, we are looking forward to working with the most talented storytellers as we take on Hasbro's rich, fan-favourite brands and build entertainment universes around them. This is, again, that same statement from Nick Meyer and Michael Lombardo. Now, we also have a statement from Jonathan Entwistle, and he said, "This is an unbelievable opportunity to deliver new Power Rangers to both new and existing generations of awaiting and adoring fans. We'll bring the spirit of analog into the future, harnessing the action and storytelling that made this brand a success." Now, okay, let's take a look at this, all right? Jonathan Entwistle has a knack for creating reasonably R-rated properties, let's be honest. I mean, end of the effing world, absolutely. Now, it's interesting because the article from Hollywood Reporter does note that Lionsgate produced and released the 2017 feature. And they say specifically that they made it less kid-friendly and gave it a more brooding young adult edge. And of course, that pick failed, right? It only made 142 million worldwide. They quote the budget as 100 million, but there was so much CGI in that, I would imagine it cost a little bit more than $100 million. Plus, you still have to chuck the marketing on top of that as well. So it would have been a substantial budget, all included production and marketing. And 142 million is just not, it's not going to cut it. Now, what I find interesting here is the Hollywood Reporter's focus on the fact that they made it less kid-friendly. So it says to me that they are going to make it more kid-friendly, this new series, this new movie universe, so on and so forth. But I actually don't think that's the way to go, because I don't think the fact that the 2017 version failed is because it was a young adult movie. I think it was because it was actually too children-focused. It was too child-focused. And with properties such as this, it's a really interesting dance that you have to go with. Do you appeal to new fans who have probably never heard of the Power Rangers? Let's be honest, right? If we take a look at the Power Rangers on a whole, they haven't been around in the public eye for a long, long time. So you look at kids of today, would they be familiar with the brand? Probably not. So are you trying to appeal to them, these children that are now wrapped up in Marvel movies, DC movies, all these kind of things? Probably not the best course of action. Now, Power Rangers was loved by a bunch of people who are now who are adults and are huge consumers, right? Now, my pitch here is definitely make it R-rated. Why? Well, if you take a look at the R-rated bootleg version of Power Rangers, and I know it's not the be-all and end-all, but it has 25 million views. 25 million views on YouTube. That's just YouTube alone. That's not to say that it's not acquiring views from embedded websites here and there, or that's been downloaded and shared. 25 million views alone, okay? And then we take the average, and this is just the average movie ticket in the US, which in 2018, 2019 was $9. Okay, it's going to be a lot more than that now, and this is, again, only the average, so let's round it up now to acquire for, inflation and things like that. And let's just say it's $10, for instance. $10, 25 million, okay? That's $250 million, right? And that's just in the US alone. Yeah, the future is R-rated for the Power Rangers. Now, I know it's not the be-all and end-all, but I've firmly said this time and time again, that these properties have to age with their audience. If I said to you, hey, next week, there's a launch of an R-rated, gritty He-Man reboot with, I don't know, cyberpunk, blood, guts, gore, everything. You're going to have Skeletor with flesh hanging off his bones. Would you want to see that? Yeah, probably. It would probably capture your imagination. And if I said the same for Hasbro's Power Rangers, what if they dulled it down a little bit, was less bright, but they still embraced that nature of the colours, and they went absolutely balls to the wall R-rated? You'd probably want to see it. The kung fu kicks actually did damage for a change. They weren't fighting just putty monsters for a change. We, as the consumer generation, okay, of 25 to, I think it's 35, I think that's how marketing budgets, marketing companies do their consumer generation, their sort of a broad spectrum age range, you'd probably be intrigued by that, would you not? Yes, probably. And if the story was right, would you want to go and see it? At the very least, out of curiosity. Probably. So yes, I firmly stand by that. Yes, Power Rangers needs to be R-rated. Same as He-Man. Same as Conan. Absolutely has to be. I think these are properties which need to age with the audience. Now, the 2017 reboot, it didn't fail because it was young adult. It failed mainly just because it was crap and it was aimed at children. No one's interested in that at that age now. And I think the budget proved that. I think the fact that the bootleg universe has 25 million views on it indicates that. Now, of course, not every one of those 25 million would go and watch or pay to watch a R-rated Power Rangers movie. But even if you had half of that, you'd be pretty close to hitting that 142 million that the Power Rangers just hit. And then there's also the other people that wouldn't have even heard of it and would still go and watch it. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comment section. If you're new here, please do hit subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Mr. H. Take care.